Hello my favorite people, today we're going to be checking, ooh, wrong intro. Hello ladies and gentlemen and everything in between. Today we're going to be checking out some British homes, not for real estate or anything like that, just for a video. Jesus. Awkward, just awkward Favour. As you guys saw in yesterday or the day before this video, World War II, I was asking why y'all were being blitzed by the Germans and like bombs and airstrikes and all that. What did you use to defend yourself or hide or, you know, whatever, save your families? Do the homes over in England have bunkers, basements, or cellars as y'all call them, any of that stuff? And that led me now to react to a video about your homes in general. How do they compare to the US? How do they compare to American homes? There's a lot of differences just right off the bat, from our infrastructure to the central air, and I thought it'd be an interesting topic to get more into on the channel. So today we're reacting to 14 differences of homes around the world, but specifically about England. Let's go right into it. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Again, this is my culture channel, so you always get culture content over here. Like the video so I know you want me to do more in the future. Check out my other channel too. I have a reaction channel where I do music. DM me video requests over on Instagram, and here we go into the video.
So, not long ago, I visited a friend in the UK. I stayed at his place, and everything seemed pretty similar to where I live. But then, I went to the bathroom, and, Andy, where's the light switch? He came in, pulled a cord I didn't notice, and also showed me how to use the two taps in the sink.
Now, we do have the two taps. It's just not like that. Mine is like a swivel. But the light switch thing is very accurate about being a string. Because I was like, how do I turn the bathroom light in my family's home over in England? But the two tap sink, I feel like you more so see that in the kitchen than in the bathroom, but you do have it also over here.
Later, he told me of many more homes in different countries he'd been to. Answering the first questions, pull strings are used instead of regular switches only in British bathrooms. This has to do with the risk of electrocution. When you're taking a bath or a shower, you're completely wet, and you're much less resistant to electricity. So the risk of getting shocked is considered to be much higher when you reach out from the shower and turn the lights on or off.
Why are you trying to turn the lights off when you're taking a bath, though? Freaky time? Maybe. If you're shy, why not? But I don't think just touching the light switch will electrocute you, right? The plastic's like a barrier for an electrical current. The only thing that conducts is like metal. So the plastic is supposed to be a barrier.
I won't ask why you would do that. Since you don't touch the light switch, though, a pull string is okay. Also, there are really two separate taps in many homes in the UK.
Y'all are bougie bouge. I thought he was just saying two different handles, but no, two separate taps. You got your hot water and your cold water separate, bitch. Mine come out of the same hole. Jesus, my mouth today. My point is, we have one faucet, but you have the two handles. Y'all have two faucets and two handles. Very fancy. Very fancy.
One for cold water and the other for, guess what? Hot. Back in the 19th century, cold water was supplied from the main source and was clean enough for drinking. Hot water, on the contrary, was supplied from a special storage cistern in the loft. And since it stayed there for a long time, it could become contaminated.
Even so, like, I don't trust our water over here. I don't drink tap water, which is really bad because then I have to buy water from, like, the stores, which means pollution, plastic, all that stuff. But no, nobody here really drinks tap water. We only did when we were kids and, like, we were outside playing, and we have the outside faucet. We drink off that, but no one just gets a cup and puts it under the sink, unless you have a filter.
The government prohibited mixing the two sources because one mistake could lead to really serious health problems.
Yeah.
As for today, well, the British are really traditionalists, aren't they? Now at this point, I broke in and added a thing I found peculiar about the U.S. private homes. The kitchen sink is almost always under a window.
Not true. I mean, if your kitchen's by a wall, yeah, but my kitchen's in the middle of the home. Not true.
Andy made a crooked grin at that and led me to his kitchen. Yeah, the sink had a straight view out the window.
Yeah.
He said,
my aunt's house is, I didn't mean to pause in the middle of his sentence, but my aunt's kitchen was literally looking over the Barking Station Park. The window was right there. So, always by a window, maybe in the UK.
And led me to his kitchen. Yeah, the sink had a straight view out the window. He said this is mostly because such a layout allowed the shortest possible waste pipe to be installed. Apart from being cheap, this also saves you the trouble of digging up the floor if something's wrong with the piping. And the view is quite nice, isn't it?
Bitch, they were not thinking about the view when they were building the house.
Being in the kitchen, Andy offered me some tea. We sat down and he continued his story. Now, in Australia, there's no central heating, which comes as no surprise, really.
Okay, two things. He just mentioned tea. I still have not had a, real good cup of tea, so I'll need to go, I'll vlog it or something. I'll go to one of the cafes in the area and try some tea. But also, just my house doesn't have air conditioning right now because it broke. It ran out of Freon. But just to not even have the option to have it, my heart goes out to you guys. I know your summers aren't as hot as Texas, but still, it's the summer, so it's going to be hot. Or even the winter when it's cold. No control of the temperature in your home is,
But the thing is that in winter, the outside temperature might well be higher than that inside your home. You know the famous UGG shoes everyone was so obsessed with some time ago? Well, they were not originally designed to be used as outerwear. They're basically very warm slippers to be worn when it's cold at home.
That's ridiculous. Who's paying $100 to $200 for some home slippers, house slippers? Silly.
In Cuba, not many houses have glass panes in their windows.
That's beautiful.
They mostly have wooden frames and wooden or metal shutters. There, the temperature during the day is almost never too low for comfort, and it can grow quite stuffy if there's no air supply. So, Cubans keep their windows open and only close the shutters for when they're away or for the night.
It's actually really interesting because it just sounds like he's talking about windows, but it's actually really interesting. Like he just mentioned, the shutters are made of wood. Those are probably more, I feel like, penetrable for air and everything than glass. For example, my house all the windows are made of glass. I saw in a Sidemen video that the windows over there open up and down or left to right, just depends on the building. So the way that we all form our windows and the comparisons is really interesting too, and very different.
Shutters also keep out the noise from outside better than glass. In Sweden, people mostly live in large apartment buildings. The building is governed collectively by all who live there, so they cut the maintenance costs by leasing the first floor to businesses such as shops and service providers.
You only see this style in America when it's like a big city. For example, New York, California. But you're not just going to walk down the street. Actually, I can think of some areas where I live. I'm from the country in Texas. But when you drive into the mainland, the big city, big town, that's when you start to see the little shops with the apartments on top. But it's not everywhere. That's not common here.
The basement is also used for collective needs. There's a pretty big empty space, and people are free to transform it any way they like.
Or rent it.
Some make a bike parking lot there. Others install a ping pong table, while others still arrange a sauna or even a gym. Every apartment also has its own designated locker room in the basement, where people store their spare tires, bulky tools, and other rarely used stuff.
So why don't people in Sweden have houses? That's probably going to get clipped for TikTok. But it's true. He just said they had a bunch of apartments, and it's I feel like they live in kind of college dorm room. This is a college dorm room lifestyle. You have your little locker, you have your communal friggin' gym, all that stuff.
Another distinctive feature of Swedish homes is a lack of curtains or drapes over the windows. Some say there was even a law at some point in Swedish history that prohibited no-see drapes.
What the? Privacy, though. What if you're trying to just roam around your house butt naked? Which is your right. It's in your own home. You don't want a peeping Tom to watch you. Why no drapes, Swedish people?
But basically, Swedes don't use them because they don't see the need. It's warm enough without curtains, and they welcome any additional light inside their homes. In Japan, traditional homes are very minimalistic. In the past, they used to have mud or clay walls with taper sliding doors that allow to make one big room out of two smaller ones for special occasions. Today, Japanese mostly live in small apartments, but many prefer to stick to traditions.
But I also feel just based off of Asian culture and those countries, the population is so high, but the landmass is so small that it's kind of like, it's just like, imagine New York City as its own country. So many people, but such small landmass. It's like you have to have small apartments. You have to be minimalist because you don't have that much space to accommodate for everyone.
Sleeping on the floor on a futon, a simple bed that can be rolled and tucked away when not needed.
Yeah.
There's also a great Japanese invention to make you warm and never want to leave home, kotatsu. It's basically a big and wide blanket covering a low table frame, and the tabletop is laid over it. There's a heat source in the middle, usually electric, and built into the table. This way, you could lie cozily under the blanket and have your tea right in front of you. In South Korea, upon entering a home, you might ask where the hallway is and be met with perplexed expressions. Koreans don't even have such a term. There's just a small space where you take off your shoes and doors to the rooms and the kitchen.
But again, I feel like that ties into the not enough like space in the country. Because it isn't Korea just a small island? So you wouldn't have room for everyone to have a hallway.
Bathrooms, though, seem to be the place where imagination flies. Koreans typically have neither bathtub nor conventional shower. Water just flows from the shower head onto the floor.
Now that's, I would just like feel worried that it's gonna like spill everywhere. Cause y'all saw it, or I'll post it after this maybe, my trip to Belgium. The shower head was like, it wasn't even a shower head. It was like a bathtub and a retractable thingamajig. So I was trying to like shower myself, but the water was getting everywhere. I'd be just kind of just like this thing with the retractable nonsense. The water would go everywhere.
The same applies to China, only they went even further. Water not only washes the floor of the bathroom, but the drain also connects to the toilet and is used to flush. The washing machine drain goes there too.
Wait, you got your washing machine in your bathroom, China? Again, I understand not enough space, but that's, is it what's the word? Sanitary. Is it sanitary? You got your feces water going with your shower water, going to your clothes water for the dishwasher. Jesus.
So there's always spare water for flushing. But there's no commode in the average Chinese home. Instead, there's a floor pan.
Oh my
People
gosh.
there believe it's better for digestion. I don't know.
To poop?
Normally by the time the stuff hits the pan, digestion is all done. But maybe it's just me.
So they believe using a floor pan, aka just a hole in the ground to poop, is better for your digestion. I've seen a lot of like theories about how you should squat if you're going to squat and not sit on the toilet, how you should sit on the toilet, what angle you should have your bowels and intestines, but I've never heard this.
Speaking of bathrooms, and we were, in the Netherlands, visiting one is a unique experience. The toilet room is small and separated from everything else. There's only the toilet and a tiny sink. The room can be found in the most unlikely places.
Again, I've been to the Netherlands. I stayed in Utrecht, and I went to Amsterdam, and my Airbnb in Utrecht was not like this. It was actually very similar to my American home. You had it was a pretty big bedroom. I guess kind of big. It was medium-sized, and then separate was the bathroom. So they're not all like this. And the bathroom had the shower, the sink, and all that. So maybe it's like the older homes that are this style, but at least for where I stayed in Utrecht, it was very modernized, like normal American home.
For example, right next to the dining table in the living room or near the kitchen. The only type of water you get from the tap there is cold, and I mean ice cold. In winter, it's particularly a problem, but for some reason, the Dutch refuse to install a hot water setting, even in new buildings.
And can I just point out, I think the Netherlands was, from my trip, I went to Belgium, I saw Paris, I saw England, all that, but Netherlands was definitely the most beautiful city I saw. But as for like just seeing or only having cold water, I didn't experience that. But my hostess did have this weird thing about using the microwave. Like, she refused to let me even touch it, really. Every time I would come down with my food, she would like take it from me and put it in the freaking oven. Which it took longer too to heat up the food, but you know, whatever.
And finally, there's a thing called inspection shelf located right in the commode. And the name is telling. It's there so you could inspect what you just left. What? It's hiding or something? Maybe it's just so you can say goodbye.
LOL.
No. It turned out that Andy saved the most unbelievable part for dessert. He went to Chile once and was really surprised to see half houses there.
Chile's flag is the Texas flag. It's the exact same.
He went to Chile once and was really surprised to see half houses there. It was a social program by Alejandro Aravena called incremental housing. The government paid for construction of only half a house, which was really well built and could already be dwelled in. The family that made it their home then constructed the second half when they were financially ready. So it's not uncommon to see houses literally divided into two completely different parts. One typical, built on the country's budget, and the other made of different materials and having a different design, constructed by the residents themselves. With that, Andy got up and said something I didn't exactly understand. It went like this. Hey, if you learned something...
Shut the fuck up. Alright, that's the end of this video. Bye.